Hey everybody, this is Shivoso and Phina, and we're getting our full moon report, new moon report, new moon to full moon, and it's May 6th today. And yeah, it's been kind of a busy time, uh, emotionally, physically, psychically. So I'm really curious to see how Phina's been seeing what's coming up the next couple of weeks. May is going to be a really interesting month, as April was probably the most interesting month we've had in a long time. Although I gotta say, the 2020s have been pretty interesting. So yeah, Fina, how are you doing?
Well, good. I spend my afternoon in the sun doing a nice painting project. So I have my creativity um, energy on, and I'm really happy. Also to see you. I saw you just yesterday, but we were yesterday with we're moving through a bit of a weird energy, and today we're feeling so much lighter. So I guess you all also posted that, right?
Yeah. I put a reel out. I actually put the wrong date on. I put April 5th instead of May 5th. That was kind of silly, but classic.
You time lapsed. That's okay, right?
Yeah, just time lapse. But it really was for May 5th, and it was a weird day. Um,
Yeah.
Astrologically, yeah, we'll get to that for sure. Why is it so odd these days? And yeah, so I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to step on in any way precursor what you're going to say, because I just love leaving you in the mystery of the astrology so that you can um, pull it out, right?
Yeah, that's very sweet of you, and I'm sure that we will. Yeah, I'm curious again how it's going to weave together our energy update and the astrology.
Yeah.
So I will take it away and um, yeah, to start off with the really weird energy, we are still at a time where there are two timelines that were set on the 8th of April. There's a lot of energetical work that has been done there, and it really made a shift from the timeline of love and compassion, or another timeline from fear, domination, control. So I feel that we are coming a little bit in the aftermath of that. Contrast is still there, but it's getting a little bit less. So there's also a little bit more room to breathe, but hold on. First, I'm going to talk about a sudden flow of opportunity that might hit you in the next 2 weeks. If you're open to it, to receive, that can be within relating or it can be with work, stuff you have to put effort in, normally suddenly coming your way. So keep an open mind and an open heart to, yeah, to receive, and I hope that really nice things come your way just suddenly like that. And then we have introspection and rest because, like I said, we have been through a time of quite some contrast, and that still might take integration. So, to rest with that is taking good care of yourself, to eat really nutritious food and to give yourself the permission also to take some extra naps or to go to bed a little bit earlier, because with the energies that are going around, we are doing a lot of inner work as a collective. So, yeah, take good care of yourself and give yourself that extra space to yeah, to be nice, to be gentle. And then I have truth and frustrations. Like I said, the contrast, it is still there. So, what is important with that these weeks is when there are frustrations, do not let them simmer. And that will be something that keeps a vibration going and keeps people connected in a not so healthy way. Um, so better to see if you can address it. Of course, it depends on the situation and with who you're communicating. I always say keep yourself away from people you know that you're not safe with. You know, there has to be some awareness in people for you to have the conversation with them. But to bring your authentic truth and to speak it out, it can make so much more space free in your entire system, and that brings some relief. So I would love for you to experience that if there's something on your mind or in your heart that may be. And then connections. What is aligned for you with connections? It's really interesting to look at that. Which connections are still aligning with your path and which ones are not. And it doesn't have to be a black and white thing like, oh, now and never. It can also be that for the journey you are on now, may it be a week, a month, a year, or a lifetime, that some connections will fall away. And others, with others, you can work through stuff. So that's beautiful. And then you can strengthen the bond, and that's really important. Yeah, to feel supported. And then I have the past popping up. Hmm. Always interesting when people from the past say hello. And then I think I also said it last time, to feel out for yourself. Is it something that I want to dive into? Do I want to put in the effort, or do I feel a boundary with that? And to do your research within yourself. Why is that boundary there? And then I have work and foundations. It can be that we're going to do some work, like practical work on the house or on a nice project, but also to see within ourselves, like, hey, what needs some maintenance. But what I picked up on especially is some practical stuff, like what has been laying around for a while and how can we make it so that it's nice again, and that it also gains some flow. And then I have a very beautiful one, the truth of who you are and judgments. The moment you step into your truth, or no, let me say it like this. We will always receive judgment, no matter what we are doing, no matter how careful we try to tread. Even if we want to do everything right, we will always receive some form of judgment, at least within people. You know, it doesn't have to be that big, but you know, whoever you are, it's always there. And then the question is, how important do we want to make outside opinion? And so to look within yourself to see, how can I stand for who I am in a loving way, of course, um, but to feel a bit more like, hey, okay, like it doesn't matter if I jump up, jump down, turn left or turn right, there will always be someone from their programming or their way of seeing life that says, hey, I would have done that differently. So then again, it's the intuition that we talked about last time, to check with yourself. Do I know that I am coming from the right place for me, from intuition? Uh, yeah, that can be a really good guidance for you again and always. Then the last one kind of connects to this, but staying connected to your I am presence, your higher self, to take that with you in your morning meditation, I even practice it when I feel moments where I feel off balance, to check in again. Okay, where's the connection with my I am presence? And not as spiritual bypassing. No, I first feel my emotions, I hear my thoughts. It's nice, it gets some attention, and then to connect again to that energetical line, to give you strength and to give you power and protection for the journey that you're on. So that was me for today, and I'm really, really excited to see what you have for us, Sheep.
Well, that was awesome. That was, yeah, super right on. And I love the way that you see the energies from a slightly different angle, but it's all lining up with the way the planets are arranging themselves right now, and so we can see that. Um, one thing I've been really wanting to make clear is that a lot of people think that astrology is about the planets causing these events or energies to happen. Like it's a causal relationship, because we're kind of stuck in that mental thing of like, well, if we see this, it must be, if it's connected, it must be causal. Like the planets are making this happen. And so I'm really careful in my language never to say, yeah, the planet's making this happen, because that's not the way it is. It's like more like tarot. It's like it's reflecting the universal patterns that are there. And so we can read them in the planets, just like we could read them in the ripples in sand or read them in the tea leaves or tarot cards. It just happens to be that planets do repeated patterns. So we were able to like actually start to see how the rhythms and cycles repeat themselves, but with variations, because it's never the same exact arrangement again. But that's why astrology is so useful, but not because the moon's going to make you crazy. It doesn't make you anything. It's just reflecting your craziness. It's just saying, yeah,
They like
we're
excuse
all going
though.
to go wild on the full moon, because that's just the way it is. That's just the way the cycle, that's what it's reflecting back to us, is that we rise up on a 28-day cycle into this expansive moment, right? And so that's the full moon. But anyway, that all prefaced, you were completely right on. I'll note first off, truth and frustrations, because what I'm going to talk about a lot today is that Pluto is really influencing us a lot right now. It's really reflecting a lot of energy that's coming up from the depths. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. It's the Lord of the underworld. It's our unconscious. It's hidden power. It's wealth, hidden wealth. It represents a lot of things that are kind of like under the surface of our reality, but are there powerfully, like the earth, right? And so one of the things about death is it always tells the truth. And so Pluto pushes truth that we've been wanting to like spin or keep out. And that can be really frustrating. It can be also kind of like frightening and harrowing, because suddenly you're exposed, or you realize you've been in a power trip, either receiving or giving. Pluto's like that. And so we start out this new moon has Pluto in a half square to Saturn. Saturn is the planet of limitations and structure and responsibility. And so this is the first aspect that Pluto and Saturn have done since the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in 2020, which started the change, the big change that we've all gone through. And so this is a half square, which means it's pushing something. It's not quite comfortable. It's still in the transitional phase of really pushing things up that are stagnant, that need to change. The structures that aren't healthy or good are all getting shaken continuously, right? And we're seeing a lot of sort of changes in the world and things getting exposed, and things bubbling up that aren't so great. At the same time, we're also experiencing some of our own power. like, oh, we can work collectively, Aquarius, Pluto, to change things. And so you're seeing protests, you're seeing people getting active. We're finally getting frustrated and letting that frustration and anger come out in action. And that's really can be good or bad, depending on what you're allowing or what you're having come up. It's our unconscious, which down in there is really powerful urges for good and powerful urges for evil, malefic stuff. So it's all kind of getting up to the surface now. And so this new moon is going to have this energy going on with Pluto because at the same time, Saturn is also sextile to the new moon. And so Sun, Moon, sextile to Saturn, while it's half square to Pluto. That's creating a pretty interesting dynamic for this next lunar period where, yeah, shit's coming up, right? And we're feeling odd. Phina and I felt it yesterday. It's like something's off. I'm just feeling I'm sensitive. I'm kind of dissatisfied. I'm kind of angry at the way things are. I'm scared. A lot of things, all these emotions kept coming up, and like, oh, I'm all over the place because Saturn is like, we need to fix this. You got to get this right. It's like structure, get things back together while everything's been falling apart and shaking up since 2020 and especially April, with the eclipse portals and things like that, the Uranus Jupiter conjunction, which is still in effect. Uranus, radical change, revolution, rebellion, freedom. Jupiter, expanding all of that. And so even though they're separating, they're still like heavily influencing all of this. And the new moon is just going to be another like ding. And we're already feeling it. It's like it feels a little destabilizing because there's Saturn trying to stabilize all of this unconscious material and all this powerful transformative energy. It doesn't want to change. Saturn's like, no, everything's fine. Let's just keep it there. And Pluto is just like the roto rooter. It's just like, nope, we're gonna sweep it away. Uranus and Jupiter is like earthquakes. Everything's gonna get shook up, and you have to go through that process. So some of us are not enjoying this process. There's moments when it's pretty exciting and thrilling, and we can feel like we're heading somewhere, like, wow, things are really moving, and other times we can feel terrified that we're going to lose it all, right? So Pluto just keeps on going through this whole 2 weeks, all the way up until we get to the full moon on May 23rd. Um, the other thing that's going on is we have a bunch of planets in Taurus, like 5 planets in Taurus, including the sun, Uranus, Jupiter, the moon. They're all moving through Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. And Venus is now in Taurus. And Taurus next to Aries, where we have Mars and the North Node and Chiron and Mercury all in Aries. So we've had a lot of Arian stuff happen in April. And then we've kind of like hit this Taurus thing. But what we've got is we've got Mars at home in Aries, and we got Venus at home in Taurus. And Venus is all about, in Taurus, is all about like slowing down. Let's look at the beautiful things. Let's organize everything. Let's get it together. Let's be in good relationship with our values, with everything that's important. You said work on the home in a practical way. That is exactly Venus and Taurus. Let's make things more nice, right? But Aries is also kind of like still get it done now, rush through, be impulsive. And those things can either be in conflict or in harmony with each other. We got a fire sign next to an earth sign. We got Mars next to Venus. And I had this imagination of Mars at home, and he's building a motorcycle track in his backyard. He's just going to have motorcycle races and rock concerts. And next door is Venus, who's making a beautiful garden with flowers and making a butterfly sanctuary and setting things up so it's all just gorgeous. And they are not going to like being neighbors unless they can figure out a compromise. Maybe Venus can come over and play on the motorcycles once in a while. That can be fun. And Mars can sit down in the garden and have some tea. You're going to have to compromise some stuff. And so that is obviously a grand opportunity for things to come into a beautiful but dynamic harmony, or it can be conflict. And with Pluto doing what it's doing, it's bound to bring up the deep stuff. So we're in a challenging time, right? And we feel it. Uh, the moon's going through all of those planets in Aries and then Taurus and conjuncting them because they're all stuck together. And then it swings out as we get towards the waxing moon, as it heads towards, we get the waxing quarter moon square the sun, and the moon will be opposite Pluto that day. It's going to be kind of an interesting day. It's around the 13th. The 13th to the 15th of May is kind of a little crescendo emotionally about all of this stuff with Pluto, and we're all going to be feeling that. It also, the moon comes around and conjuncts Uranus and Jupiter as it moves out of Taurus. So just before it moves out of Taurus, it hits those points of radical change and expansion. And because it's doing that Jupiter thing, we're going to have a little lift there. You know, it's optimistic. And then it comes around, does its opposition to Pluto and square to the sun, and then square to Uranus and square to Jupiter. So little glitch right around the middle of the month, right? And then we start swinging around until we're getting towards the new moon. I mean, the full moon. Um, and the full moon, well, just before that, Mercury is going to square Pluto one last time because Mercury was retrograde in April, all of April. And so it's going back over that last bits of territory. And this will be the third square with Pluto, and Mercury square Pluto. Okay, our thoughts, our ideas, our communications are all connected in this sort of hyper motivated way to our depth of our psychology, the deep stuff, the unconscious, our power. So it could be power plays, it could be nightmares, it could be fights, it could also be inspired movement, inspired ideas that come right from the depths of our souls, right? So it's a really dynamic time just before we get to the full moon. And when we get to the full moon on May 23rd, it's in Sagittarius. It just makes it into Sagittarius. Yay, Sagittarius. Always super positive, optimistic, like, yeah, this is going to go great because it's ruled by Jupiter, right? At the same time, Venus is going to be sextile Neptune and Jupiter is sextile Neptune. Venus is conjunct Jupiter. So that's relationship stuff. Now, Neptune is dreamy, expansive, eternal, spiritual, right? So we're looking at either a really romantic moment, right? Or a really just spacey, like, I don't know what I want. It's like this, I just want to relax and sort of flow and, just be in my Venusian relaxed moment. Um, so that this full moon is going to be, it could be kind of a relief. It kind of could be like, let's just relax after all of this stuff, right? And it's also a really creative time. Like, oh, I see how all the elements can come together in this beautiful way. So I think by the time we get to that full moon, we'll see that it was all kind of worth it. But really, we're going to have to just hang in there. It's going to be a very fatiguing, intense next couple of weeks. As things come up to be dealt with, we'll just need to take care of ourselves. And that nurturing element that you mentioned, is really, really important. It's like, yeah, we continue with our self-maintenance because we're in this sort of Olympic level marathon of getting through 2024 in a good way, because this is the time of opportunity and chaos. We've had so much change and anarchy and stuff that's gone on in the first 4 years of the 2020s that we're still all in a bit of trauma recovery, trying to figure out what's happening next. And it's up to us what happens next. And that's a lot of responsibility. Since Pluto's asking us to clear out the basement, that's a good thing. You have to say, thank you for the truth. Thank you for this occurring now. but we're also might feel overwhelmed if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't collaborate with others, because this is not just our individual work. This is the whole world working together. It's really working with your neighbors, your beloveds, your clan, your tribe. Who's are your allies? Because we need allies right now. We need people to talk to and process this stuff with. We need to figure out how to have those arguments be productive and collaborative because they are going to come up. We're going to have differences of opinion that are not movable. And so you got to figure out, well, how do we either compromise or accept and allow that to come through? So it's a challenging time. And I wish I could tell everybody, yep, May is going to be a nice relief after April. But there's just turbulence, there's ripples, there's still things work to be done. And I don't think we're going to get out of doing the work in any way. Avoidance, just pretending everything should be going back to normal and just go on your day-to-day things is the wrong attitude. It's not going to work out. We're not going back to normal. We're not going back to, things as they were. It's time for us to make the change in the world. And we can either be the agents in that change or we just become victims. So it's up to us. And this is a pretty important month to see what do I really want? Because by the time we get to that full moon, it's like, oh, there's this creative manifestation. There's this loving, romantic, beautiful energy that can kind of like give us a little salve for our jangled nerves. So that's my opinion. That's my report for the astrology. Um, I'll have it obviously more details in the written reports that I put out on my website, and so you can all follow along for the 1 week at a time. And I'm going to publish that today, get that put out there for this next week, and then we'll get around to the full moon coming the 23rd.
Yeah, I loved it. I was hanging on your every word.
I hope everybody was. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I've been traveling a lot, and now I'm in this hotel room, and um, for me, it's been really interesting what keeps coming up. My dissatisfaction with the way things are arranged in like hotels. It just doesn't feel right. This is an experiment to stay in a hotel. I much prefer cabins and, tents and things like that. But we're making the positive changes to somehow, I don't know, change this situation. I think the motivation to change things is really strong right now. So I want something different to happen than
Mm.
the regular kind of controlled, earthy human thing.
Well, that's good to know because when you visit, then I will have a nice tent prepared for you.
Just put a sleeping bag out in the yard. That's all I need. Sleep under the
No,
stars.
you're getting a nice, comfy room, of course. But I really like what you mentioned about there's like no turning back because it has been a challenging time and a lot of people they have been opened up to their potential or at least a part of that or what they are here to do for,
Yeah.
and there are some of us that want to do this, um, and I don't want to um, well, I'm an Aries, so I'm just gonna say it. You will be opened up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will be opened up because it's necessary for the collective, and it's okay. You can always say, like, hey, I want things to go as gentle as they possibly can. And at the same time, like, we are also being asked to step up, to look at our fears, to look at our anger and whatever is cooking up inside for all of us. Like
Right.
also Chief said about his annoyance with the hotel room. Yesterday we came across something like we in this 5 years, I think we sometimes we had a little bit of a moment, but yesterday we were a little bit like
The Aries and the Sag, it's like, no, you're not right. No, you're not right. I think
So it
that's
was,
what I was talking about was there's this art to the Aikido of relating with someone that isn't about winning or losing. It's about dancing together and recognizing there are, of course, differences. There need to be. There's where the spice of it is. If you don't get obsessed with being right, always, it's like, it can be right for me, it can be right for you. Let's just let it unfold and see what comes of those held opinions. Our core beliefs are called into question um,
yeah.
with Pluto and things like that. So I was laughing. It was like, yep, that was a fun dance for a minute. And you and I we're both a little intense. So when I
Well, we
get to
can
Europe this year, it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. I mean, I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Um, she's my soul sister. So um,
I'm really looking forward to have you here, and I also know that we are going to have moments, especially if we're going to drive around in a van
yep.
for like 2 months or so, where we're going to be like,
Yep. Get out of the van. Uh,
you go walk, you
I'm
hike.
driving. No, you're driving. You drive. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be great because that's how we get a lot of creativity juice between us. And so that's really the art of relating is finding how do you turn friction into warmth, you know, and not into, destructive kind of stuff. And a lot of it has to do with just staying open, just relax. It's all comes out in the wash. Um,
Yeah, I'm really happy with how we do that and how we are able to get back to
yeah.
a good thing.
Something you said, it made me think about, people who are hoping it goes away or just ignoring it, the kind of, really, this is awful, but I think of them as zombies. They're just asleep on purpose. They just want to consume their space and be in their own little thing because it's too much. It's too much to think
Mm,
cosmically about what's going on. And they all have their place, God bless them, um, to do that work. But the thing is that the tide rises everybody. And when the waves come, you can either surf, paddle for it and, try to make the wave. But if you do this, if you're a surfer out there and you close your eyes and just hope it goes away, you can imagine what's going to happen when the wave comes. So you got to be like, open your eyes, see it coming, be scared, it's like, okay, whoa, that's a big wave. And you either try to surf it as best you can, and there's a bunch of us all trying to surf those waves, try to guide this ship into shore a bit more. But
yeah, to
this
move
is not
to
going
the
to do
front.
it. And yet there's a place for all of them. There's a perfection in the fact that not everyone is radically trying to wake up or become spiritually aware or do their inner work and try to make the world a more beautiful place. Drifting through they're just
Mm,
drifting through and holding a certain frequency that helps contrast. That's the
mm,
work. It's always been like that. There is no utopia or heaven here,
mm.
except within. So um yeah, I'm trying to get to loving acceptance to the mass asleepness, that we see every day and the ignorance that turns into stupidity and malevolence. It's
Yeah, and let's
it's
also
hard.
not forget, I also want to say that we have also had that phase for years on end where we were asleep. Like I
Yeah.
didn't take care of my body, I wasn't wise with relationships. I didn't have like a focused fashion plan. I didn't know what, um, as well, I've always remembered the value of nature. So that is, I'm really happy about that. But yeah, so I want to be like, we're not doing this,
Yeah.
but the matter of the fact is like she says, the energy is going to be rising, and everyone is going to be in their own way taking with it. So you can do this, or you can move through those things and see, how can I, with all these energies, how can I balance this out, and how can I learn? Because if you learn to surf now, then it's going to be easier when the energy keeps on rising.
Yeah.
We have another couple of interesting years.
Yeah. We got an interesting decade, ahead of
Mm,
us. And interesting is such a beautifully neutral word.
yeah,
It's
of course.
epic. It's
I
epic
try
and
to keep it
it's
to keep
exciting
it
and it's
light.
terrifying and it's harrowing. And yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I've still got my unconscious patterns. And, maybe that's what I'm expressing too, the whole idea that I'm scared and offended and worried about the rest of humanity, the bulk of ignorance that's out there and the
Mm.
judgment that's in that statement. It's like, okay, there's me not being, the the Buddha, but okay, we've all got work to do. I'll always not be perfect. So I get it, you know. Staying asleep is seems easier in the short term because getting awake, and I'm not awake, but getting awake is there is no there. It's like, as long as you're alive, there's parts that still, kind of grip on and stay asleep. And, we just start to play with that idea that you're never finished, but the journey for me has been really rewarding so far. I like who I am now. I'd like to even be better at it. So
Well, I like who you are as well. So, like we say, we are not perfect. We all have inner work to do. So,
yeah.
everyone, like even
Cool.
your neighbor or your boss or
Yeah.
whoever
Yeah.
thinks they know.
Right. Even the muggles and the zombies and it's like,
Everyone.
yeah, there's a few people I don't really like to have around, but they're the super fuckers, not just your average person. All right, that pretty much feels like a wrap, hey?
Yeah, I feel it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. We'll talk in a couple of weeks with you all, and Phina and I are definitely up for some one-on-one conversations with you. So please reach out, subscribe, punch that like button if you watch this. And yeah, we'll just see you in a couple of weeks. Good luck, everybody. Hang in there. It'll be okay. It'll be fun. Just like try to laugh at it a little bit.
You can surf it, we're sure.
Yeah, for sure. Surf it on with laughter.
Yes.
Whee! All right.
Good.
Ciao, ciao,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.